Okay.
So, I mean, so this is on the subject of creating a content calendar.
Hmm.
I want to know, or he wants to know, um, how to go about building a content calendar. Obviously, he's probably asking the question because he's considering, in his planning, how do I um, become really effective with scheduling things? And, what I think there's a lot of questions that arise with like, the how, frequency, time of day, maybe the type of content, that sort of thing, but also figuring out what is maybe most effective in building your personal brand. So, do you have any
Mm.
thoughts on that immediately?
Um, Actually, hang on one second. I'm pulling up my notes.
Good, good.
Um, okay. Wait, maybe ask the question one more time. The question is, uh, for for was it James?
Hmm. Hmm.
And uh, just general thoughts on creating a content calendar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's obvious stuff like the type of content, how often should I post, what type of content should I post, what time of day
Mm.
could I post?
So maybe best practices and stuff. So
Mhm.
when someone asks me this question, I don't. I usually veer away from best practices unless they're already executing on something. So if someone is not executing on any type of content, like what's the level of execution they're already at? If they're not, if it's not very high, like if James isn't already posting daily, weekly, and monthly content, or like posting regularly, the tactics and the specific details of like optimizing aren't as important as coming up with.
Sure.
It seems like we need a clearer plan, and we need a clearer goal and better systems. And so breaking down the goal of, let's say, like revenue, right? Using Zealous as an example. So I have like a specific revenue goal for Zealous, let's say over the next 3 months. I would break that goal into how many sales would I need to get. So I have a number of sales that I would need to get, right? Then if we take one step back in the customer journey, the next step is I would need a certain number of people to get to a stage to make that decision. For me, this is some type of workshop or appointment, like a discovery call or something like that, right? So I need a certain number of people to get there, and then I need to come up with a rough estimate of what percentage of people that get to that point would then decide to buy, right? Then I need to go back one more and say, let's say leads or signal of interest in something like this. What percentage of those people would go to the next step? And then the first one is just awareness. So like
Hmm.
people just being aware of your offer or whatever. So maybe a simpler version of this is visitors times conversion rate times the offer or the product price
Hmm.
equals the revenue. So you have visitors, conversion rate, offer, or you just do awareness goal, like awareness or reach, leads, that's someone signaling that they're interested.
Hmm.
You and then this next step is the consideration stage. This you could skip if you want. You could go straight from leads to the sale, but I like having this like middle step here. So what I would do is say, okay, if I need 100 people to purchase something, that means I might need 300 people to attend a workshop,
Hmm.
which might mean, okay, of all the people that signal they're interested in something like this, how many are going to attend the workshop? If it's 50%, then I need 600 leads. Okay, of all the people that see a post about me, like either individual people or just when you're starting out, just count views.
Hmm.
How many like if I get 5,000 views on a really great social post, what percentage
Hmm.
of those people will go to the lead, either opt in their email address for something free, will DM me, whatever, right? So you just
Or
come up with these rough
click the
numbers.
link or something.
Yeah, even clicking the link. Come up with something. If you have no data on that, like find somewhere that you can measure this, right? Even clicking a link to your page. Yeah, you're exactly right. So then I'm starting to come up with these numbers, and it's like, okay, maybe it's like, 10,000 at the awareness stage, 500 at the leads, 300 at the workshop to 100, right? So, so that's like a first step in thinking about a content calendar. The next thing is like, we need to set up a system so that you're creating content consistently. And what I would recommend is, especially when you're starting out, is trying to get something closer to daily, just because you have no idea what works. Like, you have no idea like what's going to work or what isn't. So at the beginning, you're testing all sorts of stuff. And if you can at least post once a day, something short, it's kind of like what we talked about last episode. Let's come up with like a shorter time frame. So the things I would be asking James is, what is, before we even start thinking about this content, the content calendar, and all these other things, what is that product? Is it somewhere that someone can even opt in or purchase it? The next step, what is that workshop? Or if you're skipping that stage, what is someone doing to put in their interest, their signal of interest? If it's just a landing page that says coming soon, enter your email, that's great, and you might get some people, and you can test that. But there are things you can do to increase that conversion rate. You could offer something for free. You could offer a free assessment or free access or early pricing, or offer something. So you're increasing conversion rate there. And then I would go back, awareness. So what are the things that we're going to post and test over the next, let's say, 4 weeks, right? So we're going to test things to try to get there. And I would write out those things. You could start with your target client's problems. So you could start with problems. You could start with talking about the actual product itself, which is a little bit tougher because it's more salesy. It's more like the direct pitch.
Sure.
But also providing value. So on social, like, there's this idea of Dunbar's number, and it's the limit to the number of people that we can have some memory of this person and their significance or their relationship to me or what they're about. It's around
about
like
400. I thought it was about like 400. We're going to say 150.
Yeah, the biggest like range is like 1,500 to have any type of association recall of. The significant number is around 150, and then it changes depending on various levels of intimacy and connection. So like close family members or daily, very deep connections, and then it goes broader into like family, friends, acquaintances, connections, those types of things. But the other thing that's interesting in the research is that these three numbers, 7, 11, and 4. So around 7 hours of interaction, 11 touch points or like interactions, and then 4 different contexts. And this is like the number at which there's a tipping point in terms of like a significant connection with this person. So if you had a new client or someone who's interested like in James's community, statistically, on average, it's going to take around 7 hours of being exposed to him, around 11 different interactions. So that could be an email, a social post, it could be a DM, it could be a reply, a comment, whatever. And then in 4 different contexts, that's a little bit harder, and we don't have to focus on that too much, but that could be different channels. So it could be on social media, but in another context. Yeah, maybe he's on someone else's podcast. It's different context. Maybe it's, a quick DM, or it's on an Instagram live. So those
I ran into you at a convention. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So filling in the blanks for James, and obviously he's not here, and this could be completely different than what he envisions. But for instance, I want my reach to be 1,000. I would need my interactions to be near 100 as far as like clicking on a profile or interactions with a post in general. I would want 30 of those people to go onto my, click the link in my bio, and you can actually see people click the link,
Mm-hmm.
sign up for
Mm-hmm.
the newsletter. Like you can track those sorts of numbers, but he would have to have the the product that you mentioned in mind would be number of users. That's his goal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe users in his portal or in his interface, in his offering or service,
Yeah.
community. Um, but he has different avenues of reaching them. So on his
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
social, he just recorded his long form podcast that he did put on YouTube, or he did a collaborative post posting clips. Um, the people that are users in his community, there's an email opt-in so that there's an
Mm-hmm.
email opt-in to get, he has
Mm-hmm.
a free
Yeah.
PDF that he offers for
Mm-hmm.
liturgical guides. So just kind of stacking regular and also variety
Yep.
of types of um,
Mm-hmm.
value, as you mentioned. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean James is kind of, I think he's leaning more towards, video content, but
Hmm.
I mean the stage we're skipping here is deciding what that content type is, and you want to
Hmm.
pick a content type that you're going to be consistent with and that's going to be easy. So pick something that's going to be easy that you could pull off, every week, somehow getting to daily posts. So if for you your best mode is writing, then that's what you're going to pick for this week or for the next 2 weeks is writing and posting on social. I highly recommend video because you have video, audio, and then that can be turned into writing. It
Mm.
starts with writing, but recording video, audio, and short snippets. So you want to pick that content type. We want to pick like short form because we're testing. We're trying to raise awareness. We're focusing on this awareness. So the two things when you're first starting out planning this content calendar, if you haven't been doing this consistently, is okay, now I have this awareness goal. And the two things I'm thinking about is, can I consistently post whatever that cadence is? I suggest daily, but maybe you want to start with a weekly article, whatever it is. But can I be consistent with this? And does it reach the awareness goal that I want? So that's what you're going to be setting out to do. Now, when it comes to like what type of content in terms of the what's in it, when you're starting out and you're trying to get attention of your potential clients or your potential like audience, you want to be giving value instead of asking things of them. So you
Hmm.
want to be giving lots of value. There's three different ways that someone perceives value on social. They either say, this sounds like me, this helps me, or this makes me feel something. So it's either this sounds like me could be someone's describing what it's like to have ADHD, and you're like, oh, this sounds like me. And what do you do with that? You like it because you're like, I identify with this. This connects with me. This sounds like
Hmm.
me. Or you share it because you say, this sounds like the type of person I am or I want to be. And you share it because you're like, hey, you're telling the world, this is me. Right. So, like, someone's sharing something on social, you're going, this sounds like me. I want to share it because this is me, or this is who I want to be, or this is who I aspire to be. The next thing, we're talking about what types of value you can give on social. This sounds like me. This helps me. So if someone says, this is how to do a gravity roll on a snare using a wallet and, your left hand, and here's how you do it, and here are the 3 steps, you're like, wow, this really helps me. And you're interested in that, right? And you might follow, you might share it, you might, you're going to be more interested. The next one is, this makes me feel something. So this is like, this was really funny, or this made me
Pull on my
moved.
heartstrings. Yeah.
Yeah, or this inspired me, or this is like, so you think of like comedy clips. You're scrolling through, you see a comedy clip, you're like, this made me feel
Hmm.
something, made me laugh. And sometimes some posts have all 3 of these dynamics, some posts don't. What I think a lot of people don't talk about is, yes, we need to provide value. There is so much valuable content out there that I think you have to go to the next step, which is the 4 F's, I call them, of that type of value, the 4 F's of value. So regardless of what you're connecting to in the person, there are 4 different ways that you evaluate the quality of value. Does that make sense? So someone could say something very valuable, but I don't follow them. Whereas someone else says something valuable, and for some reason I follow them, I subscribe, I go to their landing page, I buy their book immediately. The value is the same, the content, but there was some difference. I perceived the value differently because I wanted to follow it. And the 4 F's are this: fresh, fine, fast, and fitting. And this makes a lot of sense. Like, I was thinking when I scroll through social, there are certain things where I go, okay, that's value. There's value here, but I'm not following them for some reason. And I think it comes down to these 4 things. So fresh is, it is perceived as new or novel. And that could either be visually, like it's the same content, it's just something visually looks very new. So I'm like testing with visual things that look novel. I'm sharing something about parish evangelization, but I'm putting it in a different context. So someone comes across this and goes, oh, this looks different. Same value as some other ministry person, but this looks new and fresh, right? So it's novelty. Next one is fine, just because I wanted them all to be 4 F's, but fine is
What is fine?
quality. So
Okay.
it's, what is the quality of either the medium, like the video, the audio, or what's the quality of like time spent presenting this value? So someone could present value, the same content of value, and use a lot of ums and ahs, and it's not fine. It's not finely like worked through. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Someone
succinct,
else,
clear,
yeah, someone else is
presented in a
succinct,
way.
clear, and also is like thoroughly researched and backs it by 5 sources, and like delivers the same value, but is like, here's the 4 sources for this. Here's the definitions of these 3 words. Here's the, so there's like fineness to the value. The next is fast. How fast do I have to get to the value? So a business book on organizational health might have value in it for me as a parish minister, but it might take me a long time to get to something of value. So it's not as fast to get to the value. The other thing is like a podcast where 2 parish ministers are just having a conversation. I might find something valuable in there after 10 minutes of listening, but it's not as fast to the value. So when I find something that's just like value immediately, like no fluff, I'm more likely to say this is worth my time. And then the last one is fitting. So a drummer might have a leadership principle he puts into some workshop for drummers, but he's not speaking as specifically to there's not as much of a fit to my context as a parish minister talking about leadership. If you go even step further, if someone's talking about here's something valuable for parish ministers in their first 3 years, that's even more of a fit, right? So these are the 4 levers you can kind of pull on as you're thinking like, okay, I'm going to pick one of these. This sounds like me, this helps me, or this makes me feel something. How can I pull on one of these levers? Can I do it in a new or novel way, either visually, audio, or is the presentation of it, even the content, new? Fine. Like, what's the value? What is the effort I'm putting into presenting that value? Fast. How quickly can I get to the value for that person? And then fit. How do I make it more custom? So I'll pause for a second on that, and then the next step would be breaking down the content into smaller steps, so that you're not thinking, okay, this week my job is to publish 7 pieces of content. You're able to break it down into smaller tasks that you can do.
Speaking of this podcast, this production value. I have a janky camera, but you're putting us on game, Edmund. So I appreciate it.
Well, and you don't have to. I mean, if there's really, really high value, you wouldn't care about the quality. Or if some of these are really high, you don't care about the other ones as much. If it's really fast, you don't care if it's low video quality. But if those other things are low, it better be really high quality. Like, that's the only thing that's going to stop you from going, okay, I think I want to follow this, because you're interested.
Right, right. I'm thinking of the things that I return to frequently, and it's just like really great production value, people that speak clearly and have a lot of good things to say, um, do so efficiently, and they're succinct. I walk away and I'm like, this is solid stuff. I would click on the next video because I can't wait to just like listen again. It's
Hmm.
so good. Okay, cool. This is awesome. James isn't here, but I hope he finds, something, worthwhile here. Is there anything you wanted to add to that piece? The
Well, do we
content
have time? Do we have
creation.
time to just go into like then how I would plan out like those 7 days and then getting it done? Do we have time to do that?
Yeah, what are the so
The eye roll. He hit me with the
yeah,
eye roll, guys.
no, 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 guys. I
We're running out of
I
time.
I'm trying to think here because we are running out of time.
Let me do it real quick.
Maybe let's ask this question. So daily posts are hard
Under three
for
minutes.
yeah, hard for anybody.
Hmm.
What gets someone to be able to post daily with as few steps as possible? Like the
Well,
quickest way to get there.
the quickest way to get there is just turn on your iPhone camera on video, turn it around, and just do it every day. If
Hmm.
that's becoming a problem, then that's where you would have to break it down into smaller steps, like we've talked about before. Like instead of it just being posting content, break it into steps. And for me, it's like capturing ideas, it's outlining, or it's capturing ideas, brainstorming and deciding, outlining, recording, and then there's editing, and then publishing.
Hmm.
This works even if it's writing, but capturing ideas is something you can do throughout your day all the time. Like I have a place where anytime I have an idea, I put it there. Anytime I come across an article, I send it to this database. So you're capturing ideas, you're brainstorming and deciding what is the core of like I'm gonna do a 30-second reel on this.
Hmm.
You're then spending time outlining, so just come up with the hook and then what are the 2 points.
Hmm.
Then you're actually doing the recording, editing if you have to edit it afterwards or whatever, or if it's something you've written. The recording step could also just be actually writing out an article, or it could be going for a walk and just recording your voice. Editing is, you're polishing it, you're packaging it or whatever, and then publishing. And so what you can start doing is the capturing and brainstorming can happen all the time. But
Hmm.
at some point throughout your week, you say, okay, on Mondays, I'm just outlining the 7 or as many as I can, just these posts. And you
Hmm.
pick a amount of time and do it every time, like an hour and a half to outline. And it could just be as simple as what is the opening hook and what are the 3 bullet points or the 2 bullet points. And then you're done with an outline. You're not writing the whole thing out. It's just what do you need so that when you're ready to record or write, you'll have the right instructions. So sit down an hour and a half, do that outlining, come up with all 7, then pick another time where you record your 7, right? So like you just have uh here's the hook, here's my post. Editing is something you can do like as you need, pick a time block and just do that. And then the publishing, you have to like just schedule it and publish it. I think if you had a system, you would do it better. It's not about what to post. I think what ends up happening is you're thinking about what to post all the time. You don't have a system to look at all your ideas and go, okay, today I got to pick my top 7 ideas so far. I either need to come up with more ideas or I need to pick my top 7. And you just say, these are the top 7. I'm going to outline them. And then whenever your time is that you're going to record, that's the time I'm going to record. So I have to do this. I have to outline this week, you know?
Hmm.
And start getting stuff published consistently and then worry about, am I hitting my awareness goals? Are
Hmm.
these posts getting attention? If not, what was I testing back here? What types of posts were those? And can I change that idea? Is that, I
Hmm.
know that might not be as simple as we wanted it to be, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the advice I would
It
give.
just sounded, yeah, it sounded simple, like creating a routine. It is just routine, time blocking, and being intentional and thoughtful about the planning process of posting. I think, yeah, the simplicity thing with that kind of question, I think there are people make it very hard. So asking about it in simplest terms
Hmm.
helps people kind of break down the walls that might be there with posting, because what you're signaling is I'm putting myself out there daily,
Yep.
and I want it to be good. So someone that's a perfectionist might have a hard time nailing down the what, how, what, all the questions leading up to
Yeah.
pressing publish, so
And when in doubt, the two areas when you're first starting out, just to go all the way back, you're trying to get signal of interest, you're testing signal of interest. So the two things you can do are talk about the potential client and see if that resonates, or talk about what you're doing to try to help the potential client. So share your journey, vlog, share this is what I'm working on, this is what I want to do, this is the product I'm building. Those two areas, either talk about the client or talk about what you're doing to try to help that client, or what the journey you're setting out on. I'm working on building this thing. Those two things will give you some feedback immediately on whether or not your audience, whether or not you can get in front of your audience, and whether or not your audience is even interested in what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to help them with.
yeah, sweet. This has been sick. This has been awesome. Heart and Hustle session 3, hot seat.
Jam packed, one of the best ones so far.
It was dense. It was good. I'm gonna have to clip it up. If you want to be in the hot seat, join the call. You can do what I did, do it better. We're hanging out a couple times a month. Would love for y'all to join the Circle community. And yeah, if you haven't done so yet, go to the website, hit the link in the description or in the bio of our Instagram, and you can go fill out the personal brand assessment, where you can find practical next steps to grow your personal brand. If y'all have any questions, join our Circle community, comment, do whatever it takes. We're here, and I'm gonna keep doing this thing. Edmund, do you have anything to add?
No, see you guys next time. Keep hustling.
All right, peace.
Peace.